What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is Fear the Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 10, Do Not Disturb. I get it because they're in a hotel, so do not disturb. It's an average pun at best. And this is an average episode. I've really been disappointed so far with the second half of the second season. Like, they've been really bad. This one's just average. It has some good stuff, it has some bad stuff, it has some really stupid stuff. So let's talk about it. First of all, the stupid stuff. Mainly in the Alicia part of the episode. She's in the hotel, and she meets up with this woman that we saw at the beginning who locked all these people in a room because one guy turned into a walker because, wouldn't you know it, he just happened to have a heart attack right then in the middle of a wedding for some reason. Anyway, he bites off his daughter's face, which doesn't really bleed so much as just shows, like, bone, I guess. I don't know. The effects were pretty weird there. So this lady just goes and locks everybody else in because that's the rational thing to do. So Alicia escapes from some walkers, goes searching for Ophelia again, still don't know where she is, but for some reason she decides to leave the safety of the room to go find something else. Somehow manages to open up an elevator, which I don't know if Mythbusters has ever tried this or not, but she just sort of opens it. Maybe if the power's off you're able to open it a bit easier, but I don't know. I look at her and I'm just like, can she really open this elevator door? Because if she can, I feel like I would be able to. And I honestly don't think I'd be able to open an elevator door, even if the power's off. So there's that. She jumps onto the cables in there. Two walkers go after her, fall down. All of a sudden, the lady that locked the people in is in the floor above her, still hiding out somehow. I don't know how long. It's probably been about a month now since everything's completely turned crazy. So she helps her, but not really. She wants to know where her nephew is because she thinks she's one of the hotel patrons that apparently are still there that we have not seen for some reason up until now. So she's thinking that, they have her nephew. She thinks that Alicia's one of them, and she's like, they want the keys for my nephew. And Alicia's like, no, I'm not one of them. And so ultimately they come up with a plan to get them downstairs, which involves Alicia leading the walkers into a room, killing one. Okay, I honestly don't know why she did that. But anyway, so she kills one, she goes out into the balcony. I can't remember, Elena, I think is the girl's name. She goes into the room next to hers and tosses her a bed sheet so she can use that to walk around the balcony. It was pretty clever. Just a little bit. It was just too intense for what the moment deserved, I guess. Like, it should have just been as simple, okay, here's the bed sheet, tie it up. Oh, look, we're clever. Instead, they make it look so amateurish because she's, like, freaking out the whole time, and she starts walking across, they break the glass, she's like, oh my gosh, and almost falls off, and I'm just like, you don't have to make it that intense. Like, it could just be, oh, that was a clever scene. Instead, now I'm sitting here going, why do they have to try to make that intense? Like, that didn't feel needed in that moment. So anyway, they make it out. They lock all the walkers in that room, and then they head downstairs, find the room that Maddie and Strand were locked in, and it's barricaded now. So I don't know how the hotel patrons made it down and lock that door without facing any walkers, but they did. Before that, though, we end up finding out that, surprise, surprise, this Elena woman locked all these people in the ballroom. They showed us that at the beginning of the episode. Why was this scene not connected better? Like, it would have made more sense if, while she's telling this story, we see the flashbacks to her doing this. But because they showed us the flashbacks first, at the beginning of the episode, with no apparent connection whatsoever, and now all of a sudden she's telling the story a good 40 minutes into the episode now, I feel like there's no connection. There's no emotional connection for me anymore. Because I'm just like, okay, I already know what happened. And they're treating it like they didn't show that scene earlier. I think what may have happened is that when they were writing it out, they were thinking of, okay, we're going to have her saying this while we're showing the flashbacks. Like, I think maybe that was the thought process, and then for some reason that didn't translate when they actually edited the episode. And so, like, you know what? We forgot to do that in the editing, so what we're going to do is we're just going to throw that scene at the beginning so people can see it, and so that way whenever she's talking about it later, they know what she's talking about. But then it doesn't make any sense, because now, as she's sitting there talking about it, and Alicia starts walking away, she's like, I locked them all in there. What should have been a, oh my gosh, I can't believe she did that moment, was a, yeah, I saw that at the beginning of the episode moment. It doesn't connect, it doesn't fit well, and it makes me think that this episode was very sloppy, because it really should have been done better. I don't know if maybe I was the only one that felt that way, but that was what was going on in my mind as she's telling the story. Is this has to have been poor editing. It had to have been the editing team just didn't get the memo that this was supposed to be connected together, and so like, oh, what's with this extra scene? Oh, whatever, just put it at the beginning of the episode, because that's the only thing that makes any sense to me at all. So anyway, that scene finishes. They go find the barricaded door. The hotel patrons show up with Elena's nephew. The mother of the bride that was locked in the room with the father that was turning is somehow alive. You want to explain that one for me? You're locked in a room with a guy who just turned and bit the face off of your daughter. So her husband turned, bit the face off of her daughter. She's locked in the room with all of those people, and you're going to tell me that she made it out alive. I've seen a lot of really dumb crap in this show. I think this is just about my limit. I mean, the whole first episode of the second half with Nick narrowly surviving all that stuff, that was pretty dumb. A lot of it was really dumb. This just kind of takes the cake. They don't even show what happened. At the beginning of the episode, we see her locking everybody in the room. By the end of the episode, the mother's alive. And it's almost like they just... Oh, you know what? Her mom, or the mom of the bride, her husband died of a heart attack, turned into a walker, bit the face off of her daughter, and then this lady locks her in a room. We should bring her back to have more emotional oomph at the end. Because if we just brought some random hotel patron in, that wouldn't be nearly emotional enough. We need to bring the mom back in. But she's locked in a room. How does she get out? Don't sweat the details. We'll figure that out later. For now, we're going to have the mom in here. That's going to be what really just strikes it home for everybody. Everybody's going to be like, oh, it's the mom. She must hate this lady. Emotion. Screw the details. Emotion. And it wasn't even that emotional. She had like one line. She needs to die like my husband and my daughter. And that was it. That was the extent of the emotion there. And it's not even like she gets her comeuppance either. Like, Elena gives them the keys. She gets her nephew back. And then Alicia's like, now! Opens the door for the walkers that slowly go after the people while they're slowly backing away. Not even looking scared. Like, what is the point of all of this? I don't understand this scene at all. It feels like it's just going nowhere. And then ultimately they go into the room. There's a lady that looks a bit like Maddie. She turns, it's not Maddie, of course, because they wouldn't just kill off main characters like that. Because, hell, they never kill off main characters. So anyway, they're going through. They find some secret hatch that looks like it hasn't been opened. They go down to the end of the hall to a door that looks like it hasn't been opened. And then all of a sudden the door opens and Maddie and Strand are hiding out in there. Despite the fact that at the end of the last episode, they were inside of this little bar area as walkers were surrounding them. And then they made it to a hatch that somehow they closed behind them quickly enough without the walker. You know what? I'm just going to assume that this is not going to be explained. I'm going to never understand what happened here, and that this show just doesn't care. Because that's kind of how I feel right now about this. Mainly the Alicias story. I'm about to get to the Chris and Travis story in a second. But for the moment, the Alicias story was just so dumb and so uncaring in some of the details that they just neglected to fill in. You know, the whole scene with with Elena locking the people in, it looks like they didn't care that they showed it here and then told about it here. It felt like they didn't care how they put that whole story together. It felt sloppy, it felt rushed, it felt completely out of order. I don't know what the thought process was, and it's really frustrating me because it's not like they can't tell a good story. They did in the first season. The first season had a pretty decent story going on, and now it just feels like, screw the story. We need to get to the intense moments. That's what we need to hit. We need to hit the intense and the emotional moments. Screw the details. The details are what matter. The details are what keep us coming back. You know, the details are the ones that, if you don't get the details right, people are going to see that and be like, you need to explain this. If you don't explain it, then it just seems stupid. I'm not about to turn my brain off to watch this show because I don't turn my brain off to watch The Walking Dead. And I hate to make the comparison because I don't think these two shows should be compared, but because they're trying so hard to be The Walking Dead, I need to say The Walking Dead makes me think. There are several moments that it made me think. It made the emotion. I had to draw connections to other things. You know, I had to make connections that made me feel even more emotional about a scene. And this one, it's like a paint by numbers. It's so simple. It's just, oh, here's this scene. Here's this lady talking about it. Here's the mom that was the mother of the bride, and now her husband and daughter are both dead. Here's all of this stuff going on. And, yeah, all that stuff's going on. But the main thing is here's all the action and the intensity. Even when there doesn't need to be, like when she's crossing a balcony. Anyway, done ranting about that. On to the better part of this episode, the Chris and Travis stuff. I hate the fact that we're just now getting to this because Travis's foot is messed up and I completely forget why. Because not only was this several months ago in the first half of the season, but also these first two episodes of the second half of the season had nothing to do with Travis and Chris, so I'm so lost on where they were or what they're doing. I know Travis is out here with Chris, like, because he wants to be there for him, but I'm so lost on what happened when we last saw them. Like, I just totally forgot because it's been so long. Anyway, we open with them walking, trying to find some place to be. The best part about this episode is the three guys that they end up meeting. And at first I was a little bit like, oh my gosh, really more people that are just completely insane? But as we got to know them more, I really felt like these are the people I want to see not as much, but I want to see this explained a bit more. Because there's so many people now that I've seen in the show that's just like, oh, they went crazy. They started a cult now. They've started this little society where some person is the dictator now. They started this thing where they go out and steal from other people and bring it back. They started this society where they're now running all of the supplies and you have to bring them drugs if you want supplies. All of these things going on, just like this is all stupid. These are just three guys that are just total morons. And if you had it before the apocalypse, these three guys would probably just be like some kids you see hanging out in the corner just smoking, doing whatever the hell they want, you know. Maybe even get arrested every now and then and have their parents bail them out. Something like that. Like, that's what I expect these guys to do. And the fact that this apocalypse happened, they're just like, we have free reign to do whatever we want now. And they're just living it up. I'm like, that is what the show has been missing. It's the first human thing that I feel like the show has had since the first season. You know, it's been so long, it just felt refreshing to be like, oh, these guys are totally human. I totally understand. Well, obviously I'm not some idiot that just wants to go out and break the law, but I feel like I feel like they're human. I feel like I can relate to them because they're human. I'm not sitting there going, oh, these group of guys are believing that, you know, the blood of the walkers is going to cleanse them of their sins or something like that, you know. So that was really nice. They have a little bit of a run-in with them. Chris steals some supplies from them, but also at the same time saves their lives. Which I do want to say, Chris in this episode is the one part of this story that does piss me off more than anything, because before he goes to get these supplies, he's talking to Travis, and he's just like, I'm really good at this. And I'm like, dude, you stabbed some walkers through a fence. How the hell are you good at this now? But anyway, apparently he is really good at this. He saves them at the same time he steals their supplies. He and Travis head out, drive as far as they can before their car runs out of gas. The guys that they stole from somehow manage to find them in the dead of night without any real tracking going. I don't know. They just happen to roll up on them and be like, hey, what's up, guys? We're not here to hurt you. We just wanted to camp here. So anyway, they start hanging out. Chris is obviously loving it because he's rebellious youth and all this stupid stuff. But he's loving hanging out with them. Travis is obviously very wary of them because he knows their type. He knows that they're not good guys. This also, just as a little side note, because it doesn't really affect the episode as a whole, but this little group, their name for the walkers is the dumbest name that I've heard. I've heard a lot of names for the walkers. You know, there have been several different groups, several different names for the walk. They call them wasted because they saw one guy who was a walker and they thought he was drunk off his ass, so they started calling him the wasted. Really? That's so dumb. Just please tell me they don't keep calling them wasted. I would actually prefer, even though I like this group of guys in the show, I would actually prefer that they die off soon so I don't have to listen to them call walkers the wasted anymore, because that's just really, really stupid to me. Anyway, but yeah, so they're camping together, and then the guys offer them to give them a ride to the next town because, you know, they ran out of gas. So they're all riding together, and then they're talking to Chris, and Chris is just loving it. Travis is not. They happen upon a farm where they start chasing chickens, and then Travis sees that there are graves here, that realizes that there's still somebody here, which, can I just point out that if Chris is supposed to be really good at this, the fact that he just sort of walks into every single building without first checking to see if there are walkers, like, that's kind of, if you're supposed to be good at this, that's kind of rule number one, is you go in, you start banging stuff to see if there are any walkers around. He doesn't do that. He just, oh, I'm going to walk in here. Oh, look, there's supplies. Oh, there are walkers. I probably should have checked that first. Anyway, so they're in the barn chasing chickens. Travis shows up and says, hey, there's still a guy here. We need to leave. This is his property. The guy shows up with a shotgun. And for some reason, one of the three idiots is holding a chicken, breaks its leg, because when there's a guy with a shotgun pointed at your group, the thing you want to do is definitely break the leg of one of his chickens. You know, like, that's just rule number one in the apocalypse. Always break the legs of chickens if it's not yours and there's a guy holding a shotgun at you. It's common knowledge. So he gets shot in the leg, and ultimately we have the final scene, which was simultaneously cut together with what was going on with Alicia at the time. Didn't really work out well because the two scenes were not nearly, like, the Alicia scene was not that intense. I was just like, oh, they'll be fine. The scene with Chris and Travis, it was actually an intense scene, because what ends up happening is the guy gets shot in the leg, and then you see Chris, like, go down to help him, and you see Travis looking over at him, and all of a sudden, Chris pulls out a gun. I'm just like, holy crap. Chris shoots the guy and kills him. And then, as Travis is sitting there, like, over the guy as he's dying, Chris comes up to him and, like, holds out his hand. Like a psychopath. I'm just like, this could actually be interesting. I hate Chris at the moment. But what it's doing to Travis is actually an interesting story. You know, Chris has just sort of jumped into this world and said, to hell with it, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to do whatever I want to, I don't really care, screw the consequences. And Travis is like, no, we need to try to be a family, we need to try to live through this, we need to try to survive together without compromising ourselves. And he's trying to be there for Chris without really saying, go do whatever you want. he's trying to sort of help Chris back. Help him say, okay, this is not right. You shouldn't be out here doing whatever you want. Just all of this stuff. You shouldn't be doing all that. Come back, be normal again. And Chris is just slowly slipping away. He's enjoying this. He's enjoying the thrill of it. He's enjoying having no responsibilities, no consequences for his actions, and it's killing Travis. And that final scene, I think, just completely summed up just how good this whole story could be. And it's the one thing that gets me excited to actually see more. Not much in this show has made me excited to see more. Everything with Alicia, everything with Nick, everything with Maddie and Strand. I'm just sitting here going, this is so dumb. What are you doing? You can't write a good, coherent story. You guys are all idiots. And then this little story pops up, and I'm just like, now I want to see what happens here. I want to see what happens with Travis and Chris. I want to see if Chris can be brought back. I want to see if Travis is going to go insane along with him, or if he's going to end up having to disown Chris, possibly kill him in the process. It's just so many different interesting things that they could do here. Hopefully they don't go the typical route, which is, Chris ultimately realizes he's wrong. That would just be too easy. They have to do something really good here. So, long story short, was this a good episode? No. Still so many stupid things. Still so many frustrating moments. But there is a slight glimmer of hope in this one storyline with Travis and Chris. I may just keep watching just to see what happens there and just forget everything else. If there's an episode where they're not involved at all, I may just sort of zone out and not really even pay attention, because this is what I want to see. I want to see more good stories like this. Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. We'll see what happens. So, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Let me know what your thoughts are, what you want to see them do more of, less of. Do you agree with me that the Travis and Chris storyline is the only good thing right now? Or is it even good? Or maybe it's just me trying to find something good with it. Who knows? Let me know what you think down in the comment section. We'll talk about it, discuss it. Leave a like and subscribe for future Fear the Walking Dead reviews. I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.